The sky above Earth was quiet, too quiet. But far above, hidden in the blackness of space, a massive alien ship hovered, cold, silent, watching. Inside the command center of the ship, Commander Zarkon stood tall. His blue skin glowed slightly under the light of strange, floating orbs. He was one of the strongest leaders of the Zarkon Empire, a powerful alien race that had conquered hundreds of planets. "This is the final moment," Zarkon said, his voice deep and calm. "Today, Earth becomes ours." His soldiers cheered. Behind him, giant screens showed live feeds from their hidden drones over a human military base in Arizona. "They don't even know we're here," a Zarkon officer said with a smile. Zarkon raised one long finger. "Begin the test. Use the T-13 plasma cannon, one shot." The cannon fired from orbit, silent, invisible, deadly. Down on Earth, the sky flickered for a second. Then a bright beam hit the base. The explosion was massive. Dust, fire, and shockwaves spread out. The Zarkons watched from orbit, expecting to see nothing left but ashes. But then something strange happened. As the smoke cleared, figures started moving inside the blast zone. Humans, still alive, still standing. Zarkon stepped closer to the screen. "Zoom in," he ordered. The camera focused. There they were, human soldiers in black armor walking through fire, calm, unharmed. "That's not possible," one scientist said. "That weapon destroyed entire cities on planet Grun 4. Zark's eyes narrowed. "Play the footage again, slower." They watched it in slow motion. The blast hit the ground. Fire surrounded the humans, but the soldiers didn't even flinch. Their armor shimmered like it absorbed the energy. "They didn't dodge it, they just walked through it," whispered an officer. Another Zarkon scientist ran forward, holding a data pad. "Commander, our energy scanners show 0 damage on their bodies." "What?" Zarkon growled. "That was our strongest weapon." The command center went quiet. No one understood what they were seeing. The human soldiers below looked up at the sky. One of them raised a hand and made a simple gesture. A thumbs up. The message was clear. "You missed, try again." Zarkon felt something strange inside him. Fear. It was not a feeling Zarkons knew well. "Could their armor be that advanced?" he asked. "No, we studied their technology for years. They were still using bullets and missiles," the chief scientist replied. Zarkon stared at the screen. The human soldiers were now moving forward toward the destroyed base, helping others, staying organized, calm, confident. "They should be panicking, running," said a Zarkon guard. "But they're not," whispered another. "They're acting like they knew this would happen." Suddenly, alarms beeped. "Commander, we're picking up a signal. It's from them." "A signal from the humans." "Yes, it's a message, audio only." "Play it." The voice came through the speakers, calm, deep, human. "To the unknown enemy watching us, we saw your weapon. We are still here. We are not afraid. If you want this planet, come and get it." The voice stopped. No one spoke. Zarkon slowly turned away from the screen. His claws tightened. "They knew about us," he said quietly. "They were ready. How?" No one had an answer. For the first time in his career, Commander Zarkon didn't feel like the hunter. He felt like the prey. That night across the Earth, humans waited silently. But in the sky, the aliens were now the ones with questions. 3 hours after the failed attack on Earth, Commander Zarkon paced inside his private chamber. The echo of his footsteps matched the growing storm inside his mind. He opened a secure line to the science wing of the mothership. "Status report," he ordered. On his screen, the face of Dr. Krintle, a high-ranking Zarkon scientist, appeared. His eyes looked worried. Behind him, alien machines scanned pieces of black human armor collected from the battlefield. "We studied the armor fragments," Krintle began, "but we found nothing." Zarkon leaned closer. "Explain." "The material is basic, earth metals, carbon alloys, nothing that should stop a plasma blast." "Then how did they survive?" Krintle looked around before whispering. "That's the problem, Commander. They shouldn't have." Inside the lab, one young alien technician, Zil, worked alone on a helmet fragment. He connected it to an energy scanner. A small pulse passed through. Suddenly, the screen flashed red. "Warning," the system said. "Unknown interference." "What?" Zil whispered. He touched the helmet again and the scanner glitched. He looked around, no one watching. So he leaned in close and whispered, "What are you hiding?" To his shock, the helmet responded. A quiet, mechanical voice whispered back. "Echo shield online. Unauthorized scan detected. Goodbye." Then the helmet melted into dust in front of him. Zil jumped back. He ran to Crintle. "Sir, the armor," it spoke. "Spoke, that's impossible." It knew we were scanning it, then it destroyed itself. Meanwhile, on Earth, in a hidden bunker deep under Nevada, two human engineers watched their monitors. "Heard the self-destruct triggered?" one asked. "Yep, Zarkon's tried to scan a helmet," the other said. The first smiled. "Good, Echo Shield is working perfectly." The second one turned serious. "How long before they realize this isn't just armor?" "Weeks, maybe more. They'll come again. They can try." Back on the mothership, Commander Zarnox now stood inside the lab. He held another piece of armor in his claws. "This basic shell," he growled, "made fools of the Empire." Crintle said, "Commander, it's not just armor, it's alive. Not in the organic sense, but it reacts, it adapts, it has a mind." Zarnox narrowed his eyes. "Are you saying humans made thinking armor?" "We don't know if they made it or if they found it." "What do you mean?" Crintle hesitated. "We studied Earth's tech for years. They weren't this smart. Not before, but this armor, it's made with something we don't understand." Zarnox looked back at the helmet fragment on the table. It was silent, dead. Then, as he stared, it blinked. Just once. A soft blue light. Almost like it was watching. Later, in his private quarters, Zarnox opened the Zarkon Empire's secret archive. He searched for ancient records, anything about humans from the past. He found something. An old, forbidden file. Event Zeta, Earth Incident, year 1887 Galactic Time. He tapped it. The file was corrupted. Only one line remained. Echo signal detected. Technology recovered. Memory wiped. Zarnox froze. Memory wiped. He remembered what the human message said earlier. "We were ready before you even left your galaxy." It wasn't a bluff. It was a reminder. He stared at the screen. "Have we fought them before?" Back on Earth, inside the same secret human bunker, a general stood in front of a holographic map of the stars. "We intercepted a data ping from the Zarkon mothership," he said to his team. "They found the old file?" a scientist asked. The general nodded. "They're starting to remember." "What do we do now?" The general smiled. "We let them panic." Inside a cold cell deep in the Zarkon mothership, a human soldier sat quietly. His hands were chained, but his eyes showed no fear. His name was Sergeant Ray Carter. Captured in a battlefield ambush, Ray was calm from the moment they brought him on board. No anger, no panic, just silence. Commander Zarnox stood behind a glass wall, watching him. "Strange creature," Zarnox muttered. "Why doesn't he speak?" Dr. Crintle, the alien scientist, stood beside him. "Maybe we can make him speak. The mind probe is ready." Zarnox nodded. "Begin." Ray was placed in a glowing chair surrounded by black spikes. This was the Zarkon Mind Harvester, a machine that could read memories, unlock secrets, and even plant fear. No one had ever resisted it. A machine voice said, "Beginning neural scan." Inside the control room, alien scientists watched dozens of screens, each one linked to Ray's brainwaves. But after 10 seconds, nothing happened. Flat lines, no memory waves, no fear spikes. Crintle frowned. "Impossible, he's awake. He should be showing emotions." "Try deeper," Zarnox ordered. The machine turned red and buzzed louder. A high-pitched whine filled the room. But still, Ray didn't flinch. No pain, no scream, just silence. Then, for the first time, Ray opened his eyes and looked directly at the main camera. And smiled. In the control room, alarms started to flash. "Commander," an officer shouted, He's reading us." "What? That's not possible." "The neural feed, it's reversed. He's inside the system." On screen, Ray tilted his head slightly. Then he whispered just 4 words. You shouldn't have tried. Suddenly, the mind machine shut down. All lights in the chamber turned off. Sparks flew. One of the monitors exploded. Ray sat in darkness, calm. Crintle looked terrified. Commander, he turned our own technology against us. He didn't block the probe, he redirected it. Zarnox stared. He let us in and then traced us back. But how? He's just a soldier. Clearly, he's more than that. Meanwhile, deep in the shadows of the mothership, Ray's chains quietly opened. No alarm. No noise. Just click. He stood up, looked straight into the surveillance camera, and said, "This is your only warning." Then he vanished from the cell. The doors were still locked. No openings, no signal, he just disappeared. Back on Earth, inside the secret human bunker, a woman in a sleek uniform removed a headset. She smiled. "Extraction complete," she said. "Ray's back in the system." General Blake nodded. "How was the ride?" "Smooth. They tried to break him. Ended up giving us full access to their memory core." "You mean?" "Yes," she said. "We saw everything. Their past, their weakness, even their lies." On the Zarkon ship, panic spread. Systems crashed. Files disappeared. One by one, lights in the mothership dimmed. "Sir," a Zarkon officer screamed. "Someone inserted a signal into our neural core." "What signal?" Zarnox growled. The officer looked pale. "A message from Earth." "Play it," Zarnox ordered. The speakers crackled, and then Ray's voice echoed through the mothership. "You wanted to know why your weapons don't work. You wanted to see what we're hiding. Now you know. And this was just the beginning." Commander Zarnox stood inside the Zarkon ship's biolab, where glowing green lights pulsed like heartbeats. Around him, alien scientists moved quickly, carrying samples inside glass tubes. This time, their mission was simple: find out what makes human soldiers immune. Dr. Crintle looked up from a microscope. "We believe it's biological," he said. "Explain," Zarnox ordered. "When we captured one of the soldiers earlier, we took a blood sample. It contained something strange." Crintle pressed a button. A hologram of human DNA appeared, but parts of it were glowing red. "This shouldn't exist," he said. "It's not a virus, it's not a mutation, it's something else." Zarnox's eyes narrowed. "Is it natural?" Crintle shook his head. "No, this was built, designed. By the humans. We don't know." In a secure containment room, a living sample of human blood was placed inside a glowing tank. Alien nano-drones injected plasma energy into the sample, the same type that powers Zarkon weapons. What happened next shocked them all. The blood cells absorbed the energy, then split, replicated, and grew faster. The plasma made them stronger. "This is impossible," a Zarkon biotech whispered. "Their biology isn't resisting our energy, it's feeding on it." Crintle zoomed in. And there it was. A microscopic black spiral embedded inside the blood cell, not organic. A nanocode. Commander Zarnox leaned forward. "What is that?" Crintle's voice dropped. "It's a message." They decoded the spiral. It wasn't in Zarkon language. It wasn't in human language either. It was older. Buried in it were 3 words. "Echo begins now." The lab went silent. Commander Zarnox turned away from the screen. They infected themselves on purpose. Meanwhile, far away on Earth, inside a hidden human lab called Echo 9, scientists monitored the Zarkons in real time. "They found the spiral," said Dr. Riley, watching through a quantum screen. "Good," replied General Blake. "Let them think it's a virus. They'll be afraid." "That's the point." Back in space, Crintle stared at the results. "It's not a virus, it's a carrier. It hides something inside the human body, something that waits." "Waits for what?" Zarnox asked. "For them to be attacked, then it activates." "You mean every time we fire at them?" Crintle nodded slowly. "We're making them stronger." In a deep section of the Zarkon ship, the High Council was called for an emergency meeting. Zarnox stood before them and said only one thing. "We are not fighting humans. We are fighting something they've become." One of the elders leaned forward. He whispered, They call it Echo Shield. The name echoed across the chamber like thunder. You knew, Zarnox asked. The elder nodded slowly. We encountered it once, centuries ago, but the memories were erased. By the humans. No, by us. Why? Because we were afraid. Suddenly, a red light flashed across the ship. A warning. Commander, shouted an officer. The blood sample, it's gone. What? They rushed to the biotank, now shattered. The human blood was no longer liquid. It had turned into a black mist and vanished. It escaped containment, someone said. Crintle looked horrified. This isn't just biology, it's conscious. In space, just outside the Zarkon ship, a ripple formed. A glitch, a tear in the stars. And from it came a voice, not human, not alien, just echoing. You look too deep, now we look back. The Zarkon mothership orbited silently above Earth as Agent Korvac, the Empire's top spy, stared at the planet below. His mission was simple: infiltrate, gather intelligence, and return. He had done it countless times across many worlds, but Earth, this one felt different. His disguise was perfect. The human body was strange, but he adapted quickly. He walked through cities, blending in. He watched their people, their cities, but something kept gnawing at him, a growing suspicion. As Korvac walked through the streets of New York, he felt the energy in the air, like a quiet hum just beneath the surface. He could sense that the humans were more than what they seemed. They were waiting for something. His Zarkon orders were clear: discover how they survived the plasma weapon and report back. He was trained to be emotionless, detached, but every time he walked among humans, something made him pause. What was this feeling? It was as if the very atmosphere around him was charged with something hidden. Later that evening, Korvac stood in a quiet park. He watched as people gathered around, talking to each other, laughing. Suddenly, his enhanced hearing picked up an unusual conversation between two humans nearby. They're here, you know, one woman said, looking up at the stars. They always have been, just waiting. The other person laughed nervously. What are you talking about? The echo, she whispered. It's been with us for thousands of years. It's inside our blood, inside our bones, and now they've come to awaken it. Korvac's mind raced. The echo. He quickly walked away, but the words wouldn't leave him. Back on the Zarkon ship, Korvac sent a message to the Empire's command, asking for more specific orders. He had uncovered something disturbing about the humans, something ancient, something tied to Echo Shield. But the message was intercepted. A revised order was sent back to him. Your mission is complete. Return immediately. Korvac hesitated. His training told him to obey, but something didn't feel right. He had gathered information. But the deeper he dug into Earth's history, the more he realized they were hiding something big. That night, Korvac ventured deeper into a secret human archive, one he had been tracking for days. The vault. It was hidden beneath the city in an abandoned subway system. As he walked through the dark tunnels, the walls glowed with strange symbols. These symbols weren't from any known human language. They were Zarkon-like. Not the ancient Zarkon language, but something older, a forgotten language. He ran his hand over the wall. It spoke to him, a faint whisper. You are not the first. Korvac froze, not the first. He knew the Zarkon Empire had invaded many worlds, but this one felt different. The humans weren't just surviving, they were waiting for something. Then he found the artifact. It was a stone tablet, covered in strange markings. As soon as his fingers touched it, an energy field surrounded him. His mind was flooded with images: ancient wars, broken civilizations, and humans fighting alongside ancient gods. A voice spoke inside his head. We have always been here, watching, waiting. Korvac's heart raced. The images grew clearer. Humans weren't just reacting to alien invasion. They had seen it before, they had fought before, they had won before. Suddenly, Korvac felt something. A jolt. Something pierced his mind. The stone tablet began to glow, and a dark alien force tried to enter his consciousness. But then, Korvac realized something shocking. The artifact wasn't just ancient, it was alive, and it recognized him. It forced him to see the truth. The humans had always known the Zarkons would return. They had always prepared. They had made themselves ready. Korvac staggered back, shaking his head. He tried to block out the overwhelming visions, but they kept flooding in. The Echo was a weapon, not just against alien technology, but against alien minds. It was designed to break them, destroy them from the inside. But humans didn't know how to control it fully. That's why the Zarkons had never truly been able to defeat them. The Echo inside the human race wasn't just a defense, it was a sleeping virus. It only activated when they were attacked. The more the Zarkons fired, the more humans became unstoppable. Korvac staggered out of the vault. He felt like his mind was being torn apart. This wasn't what he signed up for. The Zarkon Empire had never been the only force in the galaxy. The humans had something far older, far more dangerous than anything the Zarkons could fathom. And now Korvac understood. The Echo shield wasn't just a defense, it was a weapon. He had to make a choice. Back on the Zarkon mothership, a shadow was cast over the bridge. Korvac's ship had not returned. Zarnox stood at the controls, staring at Earth. "Where is he?" he growled. A low voice came from behind. "Agent Korvac is not returning, Commander." Zarnox turned to see the Elder standing in the doorway. The Elder's eyes gleamed. "It's too late." Korvac's ship flew silently through the dark void of space. Inside, his hands trembled as he stared at the holographic projection of Earth. He had made his decision. The Zarkons had come to Earth thinking they were invincible. They had no idea what they were truly facing. The Echo was not just an ancient weapon. It was alive, conscious, and it had chosen humans to wield it. Korvac now understood that the humans were not the prey. They were the chosen ones. But the Zarkons had never known, never understood. They believed they were fighting to conquer a planet, but instead they had been chasing a ghost, an ancient force that was always waiting for its moment. The Echo had been waiting for the Zarkons to make the first move, waiting for them to attack so that it could awaken. Back on Earth, General Blake was in his underground command center. The atmosphere was tense as he watched the screens flashing with data. Suddenly, a holographic message appeared. It was from Korvac. He had sent a message, a warning. The general's eyes widened as Korvac's voice echoed through the room. "The Zarkons are not your real enemies. There is something far older, far more dangerous. You have no idea what the Echo is or what it will do. I have seen its power, and now I understand you are the chosen vessels." Blake didn't blink as the truth slowly sank in. He had always known that Earth was special, but this. The Echo wasn't just an ancient defense. It was a force that tied the very fabric of the universe together, and the humans had been connected to it for millennia. As Korvac's ship moved toward Earth, he felt something inside him stir. He was no longer the Zarkon spy. He was now an outsider, a being caught between two worlds. His mission had changed. In the cold silence of space, he sent another message, this time to Commander Zarnox. "The Echo is a force that you cannot defeat. The war was never meant to be won by the Zarkons. It was meant to awaken." But as soon as the message was sent, Korvac realized something terrifying. The Echo was waking up, and it had begun to affect him. His eyes flickered briefly with strange symbols. His mind buzzed with visions of ancient galaxies, worlds long destroyed, civilizations torn apart by the same force that now coursed through his veins. The Echo wasn't just a weapon. It was a living entity, and it was starting to take control. On the Zarkon mothership, Zarnox stared at Korvac's message. His fingers tightened into fists. "What is this madness?" Zarnox muttered. "You are wrong, Korvac. We will crush the humans as we always have." But as he spoke, the ancient artifact they had recovered earlier, the one that carried the Echo symbol, began to pulse with an eerie glow. Crintle, the Zarkon scientist, looked nervously at the artifact. "Commander, something's wrong. The artifact is resonating." "Resonating with what?" Zarnox snapped. Crintle's voice dropped. "It's resonating with the Echo." The ship's systems suddenly shut down, as if the Echo itself had blocked their technology. The Zarkon commanders scrambled, but nothing worked. A voice echoed throughout the ship, but it was not human. It was not alien either. "The time has come. You are all just echoes in the void. I have waited for this moment. Now you shall know the truth." The entire Zarkon fleet shook, as though the fabric of reality itself was unraveling. Back on Earth, the Echo began to awaken on a global scale. Across the world, the air hummed with an unnatural energy. People felt the shift. the change. In secret bunkers, human scientists could only watch as their instruments went wild. They could no longer track the power signature coming from deep within the Earth's core. The echo had always been tied to Earth, to human blood, to their history, to their genetic memory. It was more than just technology. It was an ancient, cosmic force designed to protect the balance of the universe. And now it had chosen Earth, chosen humanity. Korvac's ship touched down in a remote location. As he stepped out, he was met by General Blake and a group of high-ranking human officials. Blake stepped forward, eyeing him carefully. "You've seen the truth, haven't you?" Blake asked. Korvac nodded slowly. "The Zarkons don't understand. They're too late. The Echo was never meant to be controlled. It's here to awaken humanity's true power, and now it's more than just a weapon." Blake studied him for a long moment. "Then we fight together. We must stop the Zarkons." Korvac looked around at the group of humans, feeling the unseen force moving around them. It was in the air, in their blood. And as he felt it, he realized that this was no longer just a war. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Back in the Zarkon fleet, Zarnox stood before the Echo artifact, now fully awakened. He felt its presence pushing against him, crushing his thoughts. He heard the voice again. "You are nothing, you cannot fight me." The Zarkon's plasma weapons went silent. The Echo had locked them out, and the human resistance was only just beginning. The battle was no longer about conquering Earth. It was about something far more dangerous, something much older. The skies above Earth were no longer blue. They were filled with strange lights, floating ships, and the hum of a war that echoed across space and time. Above, the Zarkon fleet formed a massive circle around the planet, weapons charged, engines burning. Commander Zarnox stood at the bridge, his eyes glowing with rage. "This ends today," he growled. "Burn their world." But deep inside Earth, something stirred. A pulse, then another's. The Echo had awakened, not just in weapons or machines, but in the hearts of every human. In a secret base buried under the mountains, General Blake stood beside Korvac. A large screen showed energy spikes across the planet. "What is this?" Blake asked. Korvac's voice was low. "It's not just one Echo, it's millions. Every human carries a piece of it." "Like DNA?" Blake asked. "No," Korvac said, "like destiny." Outside, people across the world looked up at the sky, and slowly, something incredible began to happen. Their bodies began to glow. Not all just a few at first. Children, soldiers, scientists, farmers. The Echo inside them was activating. Some levitated, some saw visions. Some began to understand languages they never learned. Others could feel each other's thoughts. A shared consciousness was forming, not a machine network, but a living, breathing bond between humans. Above, the Zarkon ships began to descend. The attack had begun. Plasma fire lit up the sky, cities trembled. But when the blasts hit the ground, nothing. The energy was absorbed, blocked. The Echo shield was fully active. From the ground, new human ships launched. These weren't made in factories. They were grown, shaped from living Echo metal, a material that reacted to thought and emotion. Inside one ship, a young human girl sat calmly. She wasn't trained. She was chosen. The ship moved with her heartbeat. In the air, a single message was broadcast to all of Earth. "We are Echo, we remember, we rise." Korvac stood atop a hill, watching as Echo warriors, glowing with energy, marched silently toward the horizon where Zarkon forces landed. He had never seen anything like this. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were transforming. Blake turned to him. "Is this what you feared?" Korvac shook his head. "No, this is what we needed." Meanwhile, inside the Zarkon command ship, Zarnox was losing control. Systems were failing. His own soldiers were breaking down, not physically, but mentally. The Echo was inside the ship now, whispering. One Zarkon officer fell to his knees. I hear them, the humans. I can feel their pain." Zarnox roared, "Silence, you're being poisoned." But it was too late. The Echo didn't kill with weapons. It connected. It shared. And that was more powerful than any war. In the final battle, Echo warriors and Zarkon machines clashed across skies, seas, and space. But every time the Zarkon struck, the Echo adapted, evolved. And then it happened. A giant pulse from Earth's core. A wave of light shot out, knocking out Zarkon ships across orbit. Earth had become a living echo weapon. One final message was broadcast to the galaxy. This is not just Earth. This is the return of the first flame. The echo has awakened. We are no longer alone. Korvac stood next to Blake, both watching the sky. "What happens now?" Blake asked. Korvac smiled, the first real smile in his life. "Now the universe changes." Suddenly a new portal opened in the sky. Not Zarkon, not human. Something older, something ancient. The echo wasn't just a human defense. It was a beacon, calling out. And now something had answered. In the far reaches of space, an ancient race watched Earth's light spread through the stars. "They are ready," the oldest among them whispered. "They remember, the children of the echo have returned." And in the silence of space, Earth shined like a sun reborn.